If you are visiting the Finnish capital of Helsinki for the first time, be sure to watch this video because in it, I'm going to be sharing all the most important tips and must-knows that you need to have the best trip ever. Now, in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christina from happytowander.com. And this channel is all about practical travel advice from someone who's been there, done that, so be sure to like and subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. Now, let's get started with some Helsinki travel planning tips. First, in terms of when to visit, do know that summer is an amazing time to go, but winter is also very cozy and has its perks. I have now been lucky enough to visit 3 times in March, June, and December, and without a doubt, I do think summer is the best time to visit Helsinki for a better vibe overall. Honestly, everything just thaws out and everyone just seems happier. But a downside that a lot of people don't talk about is the fact that in the summer there is actually a lot of construction happening as well. As is the case with many Nordic countries, Finland does choose to save its construction works for a time when they know that they're going to have decent weather for it, which of course sadly means summertime. So don't be surprised when there's a lot of construction being done, with entire streets even being ripped out. This was something that I did personally experience, so just FYI. That said, wintertime in Helsinki does really have its charms, especially if you're going to be visiting the city for its cultural scene, meaning you want to go explore different museums and attractions like that. There really are a lot of great things to enjoy indoors, as well as some really cute Christmas markets and festive vibes if you time your visit for the end of November to December. So you have a lot of great options. Now, in terms of where to stay, Helsinki's neighborhoods can be a bit of a confusing mystery to first-timers because the city is divided into 8 districts, all with subdivisions, and so 60 neighborhoods total. Luckily, the official Helsinki Tourism Board has simplified it a bit to the areas probably most interesting to tourists, which makes things a bit more manageable. So in terms of which neighborhoods to actually stay at, I would say downtown Helsinki, Kamppi, and the design districts are all great places to base yourself. If you want to be close to where all the main cultural attractions are, and also the main points of interest as a first-timer, you do ideally want to be in this general area. This is a fairly walkable part of town and really nice to just wander around and explore. I recently stayed at the Scandic Helsinki hub, which was overall really good value. Farther out in the suburbs is generally not as aesthetically pleasing depending on where you go. And you're going to be a lot more reliant on public transport to see the main sites. So that's why I would recommend staying kind of more in the city center. That said, if you are open to a weirdly budget-friendly hotel, especially as a solo traveler, I can definitely recommend staying at Valo Hotel. It's not super central, but really easily connected to the center by public transport and overall offers really great value for money. Now, another thing I should also say is that Helsinki isn't a super touristy place and is best enjoyed with local input and expertise. Sure, there are museums and places to see, but I do think that Helsinki is kind of more of a vibe city, meaning it's nice not necessarily because of its attractions and main tourist sites, but really more so because of its restaurants, cafes, shops, and overall vibe. So to make the most of it, I would definitely seek out local bloggers and content creators to find the best local spots and advice to see what locals are doing, where they're hanging out, because honestly, I think that's where the magic really happens, not necessarily at the tourist spots. For advice in English, I really liked @GoHelsinki on TikTok and also Where to Eat Helsinki on Instagram and TikTok as well. In a pinch, the official tourism board's websites and social media channels, My Helsinki, is also a really great resource. Now, finally, don't forget that there is a lot of great nature surrounding Helsinki as well. So don't just limit yourself to staying in the very city center. If you have some extra time, do add a side trip or 2 outside of the central core, and you definitely won't regret it. At minimum, do make sure you go out to enjoy some of the city's islands. Now, in case you didn't already know this, Helsinki is an archipelago with over 300 islands. The most popular one, of course, being Suomenlinna, which is home to the city's world-famous sea fortress. So that's definitely worth seeing, but there are tons more that are known for their beautiful nature and views. Visit Finland has a really great list of ones to see on their website, which I will link in the description below. And in terms of adding more to your itinerary, I know this is another city, but Tallinn, Estonia is actually only 2 hours away by ferry, and that's also a really lovely place to visit. So a lot of the time people will combine the 2 cities into one itinerary, which I can highly recommend if you have the time. All right, next let's tackle some Helsinki tips for transport and getting around. Honestly, public transport in Helsinki is incredibly efficient and there really is no need to rent a car. So really, unless you plan to do any day trips out of the city where you're going to need a car to get further out, you will be absolutely fine just getting by with public transport. The tram system in particular is super fun to ride and a really nice way to get around the city, something that to me feels super Helsinki, so make sure to take advantage. If you're taking public transport though, do remember you generally do need to hail buses and board through the front, although the middle doors are usually fine on orange buses. So yes, don't be like me and expect that the bus is always going to stop at your stop. You do actually need to make eye contact with the driver or maybe wave at them so that they know to stop for you. And I know it seems like I'm getting way too specific here, but the bus color does actually matter in terms of how you handle yourself because different rules do apply. Orange buses are much more relaxed. You can board from the front or from the middle doors, and these ones are honor system based, meaning you don't actually need to show your ticket to anyone unless an inspector comes on board and asks to see one. On other buses though, like the blue buses, you do have to board through the front and show your ticket to the driver or make it clear to them that you're tapping your card at the machine to pay. I had a day pass and I didn't show it to the driver on the blue bus because I had just been on an orange bus and I didn't need to show anybody anything, and he legitimately yelled at me, which was so embarrassing, so don't make this mistake. Now, in terms of getting tickets, on board the experience couldn't be simpler. There's a touch screen where you can select the number of zones that you want to buy and then you just tap your card. But the HSL app is also super solid. You can actually get tickets without even making an account, so that makes it really simple for visitors. But again, just make sure to show your digital ticket to the driver if you're boarding any of the blue buses. Can you tell I am still embarrassed by the fact that this happened? And if you're taking public transport, definitely consider a day or multi-day ticket. This tends to work out to be worth it if you plan to do more than 3 trips in a day. And you can get these special day tickets for up to 13 days, with it being cheaper per day, of course, the more days that you buy. So for a longer trip especially, it can be really, really worth it. And the reason I do think you're probably going to get good value out of one of these passes is because Helsinki actually isn't super walkable outside of the main central tourist core. So you shouldn't expect to get everywhere easily on foot, especially if you're going to be staying not directly in the center. All right, now it's time to talk about Helsinki attraction tips. First up, I would say do consider getting a Helsinki card to save money on paid attractions and sites if you're planning to do a lot of them. Honestly, to me, one of the main draws of Helsinki is its incredible cultural scene and museums, most of which you do indeed have to pay for, and it being Finland, sadly these museums don't come cheap. So if you plan to do many museums, then I think it might really be worth it to look into getting a Helsinki card, because that's going to give you unlimited access to the city's main museums and attractions for a set period of time. So if you plan it well, this card really can save you a ton of money. That said, do keep in mind that there are many free museums and activities to check out in Helsinki as well if you're on a budget. So don't just concentrate on the paid attractions, there are lots of things to do for free as well. Some of my personal favorite spots include the Udi Central Library, which is a super beautiful contemporary building with a nice terrace, and it's free to go in and check it out. Plus, the bathrooms on the bottom floor are actually super weird and interesting and cool, so check that out. No photos are allowed, but just FYI. There are also many free museums like the Helsinki City Museum and the Helsinki Tram Museum, as well as the Bank of Finland Museum and the Helsinki University Museum. Plus, there are lots of great parks to check out as well, like the Sibelius Park, which is home to this iconic Helsinki monument, Alppipuisto, which is known for its cherry blossoms in the spring, and Kaivopuisto, the city's oldest and most popular park. Besides these freebies though, do also keep an eye out for free museum days to save some money on the paid attractions that you normally have to pay an admission fee for. During a recent visit, I actually got to go see the Helsinki Art Museum, or HAM, for free because it was the last Friday of the month, which was really a nice surprise. And many other museums in the city do offer a free day like this per month, so be sure to check out this list on the official Helsinki tourism website to see your different options. Now, in addition to all those museums and attractions, something else to take note of is the fact that sauna culture is a very real thing in Finland, so definitely be sure to experience it if you can. There's really no shortage of places to get a true sauna experience in Helsinki. They're really everywhere. Many hotels will actually have one on site, and most houses do as well. If you're not cool enough to score an invite though, there are tons of public saunas and options as well. I'll be linking a list in the description. All right, now finally, let's move on to some Helsinki tips for once you arrive. First off, do make sure to drink plenty of coffee and take advantage of the amazing cafe scene in the city. Finns are very proud of the fact that they have the highest coffee consumption per capita in the entire world. They will constantly be reminding you of this fact. So of course, there are plenty of great places in the city to grab a cup of coffee. Cafe Regatta is a classic and is very, very cute, so it's worth checking out. But there are loads of more modern options and fun, quirky options as well. Speaking of liquids, do be aware that alcohol is very pricey in Finland, so be prepared for some incredibly high drink prices. Commonly, Finns will actually stock up at the duty-free, and Helsinki locals have been known to go all the way over to Tallinn, Estonia, and load up there, then go back on the ferry with their cheap booze, so do keep that in mind. Now, in terms of dining out, meals out in Helsinki can of course be quite expensive as well, but I will say that local food is definitely worth trying. Lohikaito, or salmon soup in particular, is one of my favorites, but some other Finnish classics include ruisleipä, which is Finnish rye bread, and this is absolutely amazing with butter. Paistetut muikut, which is fried vendis, these tiny fish that are really crispy and delicious. And karja lämpiraka, or Karelian pie, which is a savory pastry with a rice porridge filling and a rye crust. Though all that said, in your quest to try Finnish classics, do beware of the main market hall and food stalls along the water. To be honest with you, these are largely considered to be tourist traps where you'll find overpriced food options that aren't necessarily the best quality. You can definitely find better local food elsewhere, so feel free to stop by for a look, but don't plan to eat there. Now, if you're interested in market halls, I have heard that the Hakeniemi Market Hall is much more geared towards locals, and so that might be a better option. Now, for a better feed on a budget, do look out for different lunch buffets to enjoy a budget-friendly lunch with some excellent value. Something I really loved about Helsinki is that locals seem to really love the lunch buffet concept, which is amazing because you have so many to choose from and you can just pay one set fee and have a feast. I went to Nanapo and I honestly thought it was unreal value, about 15 euros for all of this. And the great thing is many restaurants also seem to do a regular non-buffet lunch deal as well. So if you want to try local foods, do splurge at lunch. You're definitely going to find better value that way. Now, on a cultural note, something to keep in mind is you really shouldn't be alarmed by a lack of small talk or a lack of expressive enthusiasm. Culturally speaking, Finns like to give you space, but actually if you approach them with questions, I find that they tend to be super helpful and super nice. So if they seem frosty on the outside, that's not necessarily a sign that they hate you, it is just culturally they're a bit distant. But in your quest to melt Finnish hearts, do know that there isn't really a need for you to learn Finnish, though some basics might be polite to know. Honestly, Finnish is a notoriously difficult language. I do love it though because I find it so bouncy and fun. But yes, most Finns, especially in a touristy setting in the city center, will speak great English, so you really don't need to learn too much Finnish to get by, especially if you have Google Translate. But because I do think it's always nice to learn some of the basics, all you really need to know is hello, which is hey, super simple, and thank you, which is kiitos. And this is quite a niche tip, but if you're a fan of Moomin, which you probably are, there are 2 Moomin shops in the center, and the airport has a very cute Moomin cafe as well. So that's a great place to shop for souvenirs, though they will definitely cost you. All right, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more travel videos just like this one, and I'll see you next time.